Welcome back to the channel. And today we want to talk about Andrew Yang's recent attendance of the Asian American Pacific Islander Democratic Presidential Forum. And this was a very interesting uh, set of topics for Andrew. Of course, many of his major policies came up, but I thought it was interesting that during this event, race came up, and race doesn't always come up a lot. Usually, when Andrew's uh, um, out talking about policies, but uh, we had heard some earlier stories about Andrew being bullied as a kid, receiving racial slurs, chink, and a variety of things. And it seemed to me during this forum that race seemed to stand out the most, I guess, to me personally. Watching this, I think I just kind of homed in on that because we've heard many of the other policies that Andrew has, and this was interesting hearing some of his personal experiences. Of course, this is him at the event doing crowd surfing, having a great time, having fun, and maybe some of you probably saw that. Maybe some of you have saw that video up till now. But Andrew talked about, of course, the racial slurs, but got me thinking about is America ready for an Asian American president? And I think that for the most part, the answer is yes. But I did want to go over a few things. So, I think it's important. And I think a lot of Yang Gang knows this, and a lot of us know this. But Andrew Yang is Taiwanese American because I noticed during the forum they kept asking him, but what are you? And he kept saying, I'm from upstate New York. Because really what Andrew was saying is I'm an American, right? Like we all are. But I think the host wanted him to say, well, I'm Taiwanese or I'm from this or that. And Andrew didn't do that. But there's a difference between Taiwan and mainland China. And some of us might know of this, that it's a very long history of independence within the independently governed Taiwan and China. Taiwan is also very much a ally to the United States. We're their major ally, and so there's a big difference there between a Taiwanese American and a Chinese a person of Chinese descent, right? Although they're essentially of the same race of people and group, and in many ways shared a great degree of the same culture, except for some differences, I think, maybe in the alphabets and languages and a variety of things. But the reality is, Taiwan is not China. And so Andrew would be an Asian American president, but he wouldn't be, because I've heard this, and of course this comes from people who just don't understand the history of China and Taiwan. They don't understand who Andrew Yang is, but I've heard things like, well, United States. I've had people actually come in my threads, in my private threads, and say things like, well, with everything going on with China, Americans aren't going to elect a Chinese person or Asian person or something like that. And I thought that showed a great, lack of knowledge in the ancestry of Andrew Yang and the history of Taiwan and China. But some jokes that came from the Andrew Yang campaign, I thought was funny that, they're looking at Donald Trump to call him names like Comrade Yang and a variety of things like that. And so I like how they'll be absorbing that energy, because, basically Trump now has the crown of the racist president, right? He's got that term from the media, and he's got that term from what has been shown to many to be at least, if not outright, racist, or him being an outright racist, it has been greatly considered certainly racist behavior. And so in that way, you wonder what's going to happen with him and Yang, and how Donald Trump will try to paint that, because yes, it could be that idea that some Americans are seeing Andrew Yang as some type of problematic Asian person to the United States. It's kind of I don't know. It kind of reminds me of going back to Barack Obama when they kind of fixed on his name of Barack Hussein Obama. Remember, people were saying he was a Muslim, and they have these kind of weird mental projections of what that's going to mean, having a person of certain cultures at the helm. But at the end of the day, we're all Americans. Kind of keep it with the race topic, because, like I said, I kind of just want to focus on the race and the questions that were asked, at the Asian American Pacific Islander Forum. Andrew kind of moved on to minorities, affirmative action, and things like problems within the black community. So, basically talking about how automation is going to affect certain communities more than others, and that is very true. If you really look at the data, black black people, minorities, but specifically black people, suffer a great disparity in assets per household. Right? I think it was some crazy numbers, like the average white American household had about $140,000 net worth, and I think they said something. I can't remember the exact number, but it was well under like $20,000 for a black African American family. But not only that, the numbers are more staggering. As Andrew projects the data out, it's saying something like black families' net worth will be zero. So, I just found that very interesting. It just shows the seriousness too of, if you fit in certain minority groups, it's going to be of a great deal more paramount that you support Yang and you vote for Yang. And if you're not doing that, and if you're not looking at the clear and present threats and danger to groups during this campaign, that you're going to suffer the most, and these groups are going to suffer the most. And so definitely want to avoid that. Don't want to be in a set of circumstances like that when many of the call center jobs are taken, many of the cashier jobs, the restaurant jobs that we're seeing now happening with automation. Yeah, a lot of the people who do those jobs are minority people, right? It's not rich, wealthy, or American white people doing these jobs, right? It's a lot of more so minorities that are in these jobs. And so, yes, they're going to take the blow the worst probably first. So it's even more necessary that, we rise up and we support Andrew Yang to stop something like that from happening. But of course, Andrew Yang, some information came out that I think, like Elizabeth Warren, I haven't saw what they were saying at the event yet, but like Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, they were saying that they got more support in the polls. The Asian American Pacific Islanders gave them more support than Yang, and I found that interesting. I sometimes wonder about these polls, because you just look at these polls, and with all the media, the internet, online sensation Andrew Yang has become, and all the people he's reached, you just have to wonder about these polls. And I'm kind of starting not to pay them attention much anymore, because if you really think about it, I see it this way. I think Andrew Yang, when it comes to the actual voting at the polls, I see Andrew's going to come out and be a lot. There's going to be a lot more people that actually come out to vote for Andrew Yang. A lot more participant, active voters. I think a lot more younger people are going to actually vote, and I don't think that's going to happen with a lot of candidates. Also, these polls are taking a certain amount of people, right? And it's kind of giving you an idea. We need some data that's true, but but we've seen many times that these polls don't reflect what happens, uh, you know, you know, on vote day. And the thing is, I think that's what's going to happen with Andrew Yang. I don't think that those polls are going to really be as big of a factor as many of us think right now. And so I wouldn't get to, when I hear people talk about, oh, well, he's still only polling at an average of 2% or 3%, and stuff like that. I wouldn't pay a whole lot of attention to that. I'm really drifting away from the polls now because, like I said, I think Andrew's going to definitely be one of these candidates who's going to, when it's to vote time, his numbers are going to look nothing like basically what's going on with the polls, right? So it's going to be all very interesting to see it. But Andrew Yang is rising up, enjoying the ride, having fun, as you can see. Real quick, guys, our project, Bitcoin MYK, our own universal basic income project. It's created for you all to give value. It's absolutely free to join. We're trying to raise the value of a cryptocurrency that will be able to give people the opportunity to exchange it in their local currency, to go out and take care of some of their basic needs through the month. And we hope you come over, sign, and support us so we can have something great to help the world try to get at least to a point where the basic needs that they need to take care of aren't putting enough pressure on them to keep them from being productive and doing the things they need to be. But we'll leave a link in the description. That's all I want to say in this video. If you all like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and until next time, take care.